What's up, YouTube? This is your girl, Megan. Welcome back to the Hood Astro Queen, to all of my returning subscribers. However, if this is your first time joining me on today, be sure to hit that subscribe button because you know you want to. So today I am going to be doing Scorpio Exposed. Like, it's going to be a full out expose. Y'all know the drill. I skipped Libra. Okay, I acknowledge that. Therefore, I will catch up on my Libras and get y'all together possibly later on this month. All right. But we just started Scorpio season, so I figured I might as well get this out the way and start it off with the bang. So with that being said, Scorpio is a negative feminine sign. It's co-ruled by Mars and Pluto, with Mars being the planet of war, sex, passion, the animal not yet redeemed by the inner self, and Pluto representing death, viciousness, and even force. So with Scorpio being the sign of death, it's no coincidence that the season begins right before Halloween. Like, you cannot tell me the people who created these seasons and these holidays did not know what they were doing. Okay, astrology is deeply woven into the fabric of society. Don't y'all forget that. So with Scorpio being governed by two of the most intense planets in the heavens, it's no wonder why Scorpios actually have a reputation for exuding many of the qualities associated with these malefics, such as being secretive, a tendency for being vindictive and manipulative, which is true in many instances. However, these traits are byproducts of the unevolved Scorpio. Now, symbolically speaking, Scorpio is represented by the scorpion, the little thing with the stinger on the end, right? Now, that's Scorpio's lowest side. However, the whole concept of evolution would make the eagle the Scorpio's higher symbol, and then the phoenix the highest symbol of Scorpio's evolution, as the phoenix is the bird that dies in its ashes of its crucified self and is born anew. All right. Now, Scorpio deals with death, but also transformation and regeneration. And although this can be taken on a quite literal level, like death on a literal level, because death is the ultimate transformation. This is actually why many Scorpios tend to be fascinated with death in and of itself. These people can even go on to have careers that deal with death, such as being like a mortician or the owner of a funeral home or something to that effect. Now, two celebrities who exude these qualities to further prove my point are Phaedra Parks. Okay, she was on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. She actually went on to get her mortician, I think is that how you call it, your mortician license, or her license, in order to practice that. And she actually, I don't know if she's still burying people's loved ones or preparing them for burial, but last I heard, she had a business where she was actually embalming dead bodies. Okay. Another Scorpio who embodies a lot of this energy is Monica, the singer Monica. I was watching the Tiny reality show that she has. I think it's called Tiny Family Hustle or Tiny Family and Friends Hustle, whatever. One episode, the only episode I ever watched, I tuned in and I saw that Monica had basically started working with a funeral home where she would put makeup on the deceased. Very much Scorpio. Okay, very much that Scorpio energy. Now, when too deep into their nature, Scorpios can also even place themselves in situations that can result in their own death. You know, this is due to Scorpio being the basement of the collective consciousness. So if not channeled properly, these people can give into self-destructive behavior on a scale of which the rest of the world has never seen. And of course, to a certain level, that can be applicable to everyone as far as placing yourself in situations that could potentially lead to your death or transformation. But with Scorpios, they have to be extra careful. And depending on what else or what placements you have in your chart, people who have Scorpio placements, and depending on the way it's aspected, you have to be extremely careful, because really festering and harboring and residing in that lower nature vibration can put you on a fast track to like the ultimate transformation. So, you know, just keep that in mind, all my Scorpios out there. And I'm preaching to the choir because I have my Mars. I have a Scorpio Mars, and it's conjoined to my Sun. So even though I'm a Sagittarius, I slick act like a Scorpio. So, it's all out of love here. Now, transformation, in that same vein of transformation, it could also deal with the soul's journey of evolution. So not just physical transformation. And this is why many Scorpios endure situations that are meant to change their state of being, because it promotes growth through painful experiences. And this could often manifest in upheavals, countless encounters with the darkest sides of life, and even very traumatic and dramatic, life altering experiences. So this is why you see a lot of Scorpios, or people who have prominent Scorpio placements, even Scorpio ascendants. They tend to be, not all of them, but a lot of them tend to have some very close encounters with taboo subjects, or things that happen to them, such as like rape, molestation, abuse on various scales. You know what I'm saying? This makes Scorpio incredibly resilient on both an emotional and psychological level, and it makes them people who are very good to have on your team whenever tragedy strikes, whenever there's a death, whenever there's a catastrophic moment, because these people have mastered the art of resiliency and endurance, okay? Also, Scorpio is highly fascinated with things that make other people uncomfortable. Also, taboo topics. Like I said, Scorpio is the sign of taboo. And this comes from a subconscious desire to experience a wide array of intense and emotional experiences. Also, this could even make Scorpios great for handling high pressure situations, and they could even be excellent leaders. And I find that a lot of them tend to excel in positions of management. Now, this can also be due to their controlling nature, which does not enjoy having other people have dominance over them. So like, if anybody's going to be the boss, it's me kind of thing. And this could even make them have a disdain for jobs that require a high level of micromanagement. Okay, Scorpio ain't having that. Also, in that same vein of Scorpios having a lot of endurance, as a result, I tend to find a lot of like long distance runners having like Scorpio placements, actually, because this could be like a high endurance on a physical level, like a quite literal level even. And Scorpios could even feel the need to reinvent themselves in that same vein of transformation, okay? They could also endure experiences that calls for them to be different versions of themselves. And that kind of ties back into that whole encountering catastrophic and transformative events that are meant to promote growth, soul growth, right? You're supposed to regenerate a different part of you. Scorpio is also a host for demonic activity and influence, as Scorpio, the constellation, exists on the astral realm, and that's where a lot of demonic and darker entities reside, thus making Scorpios hosts, or making them most likely to be hosts for these darker entities. This can even affect them on a psychological level and lead to instances of possession and even emotional or psychological problems. Now, when I say possession, of course, everybody thinks of like what they show in the movies with the person and their head is spinning around and they're vomiting and they're saying, "Get out now." Like, that's not possession doesn't work like that, okay? We're talking, it could even occur on a subtle level, as far as you acting in ways that you would normally not, you behaving in ways that are not really consistent with your state of being, you moving and functioning in the world from a perspective of not really being in the driver's seat, your actions and your thoughts and your motives really being influenced and driven by an entity that's outside of you. That's why it's very important to know your state of being, especially for my Scorpios, to really meditate, reflect on your inner state of being, knowing who you are. Because Scorpios are very vulnerable to that type of thing. Scorpio also deals with the intensity of life. For this reason, many Scorpios are known for carrying this very intensity on a behavioral level. They cling on to the things that they love or believe in with conviction. This also makes them very passionate. They dislike with that same conviction, and they can hate with that same conviction, making Scorpio prone to holding grudges, and it gives them a very wrathful type of vengeance when they feel provoked, and then this gives way to the stereotypes of the unevolved Scorpio. So that vindictiveness, and as I said it before, even being self-destructive in certain cases. Scorpio is also depth. It's penetration. It's the things that take place underground. This also makes Scorpio directly involved in underhanded activity, criminal activity. I remember on Twitter, somebody asked me why Scorpio is the sign of criminals. Okay, this is why. Scorpio definitely embodies a lot of the lower vibrational activities and things that are done in the dark, such as crime, okay? It could also deal with rape, as I stated before, molestation, and even deviant forms of sexuality. Scorpio deals with the things that take place when no one is looking. Now, there is a saying that says evil thrives in secrecy, okay? Which is why Scorpio, it dwells, it flourishes wherever there is darkness. Now, on a positive note, this makes Scorpios great people for keeping secrets. So if you have some skeletons in your closet, okay, find you a Scorpio, well, a more evolved Scorpio, because the unevolved Scorpio, they'll keep a secret, but they are not above blackmailing your ass later down the line. So find you an evolved Scorpio and pour your heart out, because these people are really good at keeping secrets and hiding information. Now, with our sun entering in Scorpio, especially, I think we have a new moon in Scorpio coming up, and then Mercury next week is going to be going retrograde in Scorpio. So be on the lookout for things that are done or things that have been done in the dark coming to light. Because even now, as far as YouTube is concerned, I'm seeing a lot of people being exposed. A lot of, like I said, exposed, that kind of like this video, Scorpio exposed, So a lot of that is sure to come. Now, with Scorpio dealing with depth, right? Things that are underground, Scorpio is not concerned with surface knowledge. And this is also why Scorpios have a reputation for being suspicious people, because unlike their opposite sign, Taurus, Scorpio doesn't like taking things at face value or even people at face value. And for that reason, many Scorpios do tend to do well when it comes to occupations that deal with underground investigations, research. This placement can be found in a lot of detectives, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Scorpios love getting to the bottom of shit, figuring people out. They can also love crime shows and whatnot. Scorpio also deals with DNA, genetics, and this could also even deal with I've seen people who have like Scorpio in the 4th house or Pluto in the 4th or even Scorpio moons. They tend to be fascinated with tracing their lineage. Like those ancestral DNA kids, they all about that. Now, Scorpio can also deal with microscopic things like bacteria, germs, infections, etc. Things that have to be viewed underneath a microscope. Now, Scorpio and people with prominent Scorpio placements are also fascinated with the whys and the hows behind people, places, and things. And this kind of ties back into them not really being satisfied with surface level knowledge, superficial knowledge of the things around them, the people around them. And this could also make them excellent psychologists. Okay, I know a lot of Scorpios who majored in psychology, who, are really interested in why things and why people do the things that they do. There's also a tendency to turn towards occult knowledge and other taboo practices in efforts to help explain the mysteries of life. So these people also make excellent astrologers. Another example, okay, me. Having my Scorpio Mars conjoining my sun in my 2nd house of money, finances, deals with me being an astrologer. So that's a good example of that. And also, I noticed that whenever I'm doing videos, right? Whenever I'm making a video on Scorpio, like my views go through the roof. Like Scorpios, y'all be blowing my shit up. Scorpios love astrology. They love being able to figure themselves out, figure other people out. They live for that shit, okay? And coupled with their natural sense of intuition or intuitiveness, these people can sniff out like phony people or people who aren't sincere from a mile away. Now, Scorpio is also fixed water. So like most water signs, Scorpios have an innate desire to feel. And being co-ruled by Pluto, it allows them to feel deeply, and that goes back into them being very passionate. They love hard, they fight hard, and they hate equally as hard. In fact, Scorpios can become so deeply fixated on their own state of being that they can get carried away. And this can be for better or for worse. So for this reason, Scorpio is prone towards obsessiveness or having obsessions and compulsions. This is also why many Scorpios have stalker-like tendencies, primarily the unevolved Scorpios or the dark-sided Scorpios. Or they could even find themselves being the victim or the subject of stalking, especially people who have Scorpio on the ascendant or descendant. Scorpio also deals with bonds and can be all-encompassing and absorbent, which can result in Scorpios coming off too strong, them exuding a vibe that's like overwhelming to other people. It's very powerful, very potent, but also very noticeable. Scorpio can even act like a parasite, draining the life or the energy from its host, or even gaining power at the expense of another, which is why I also see a lot of Scorpios, especially like in the workplace or just around in life, like with networking. A lot of your more, like I said, unevolved, lower nature, dark-sided Scorpios do have a habit of attaching themselves to another individual, be it like for better or for worse, but they do it in a way that's like, it's literally like energetic vampirism, if that's a word. Like they suck the life out of you if you let them. Now, Scorpio will always take, but it's a matter of whether they're willing to give as well. So your more evolved Scorpios are capable of having a more symbiotic, I think that's what it's called, relationship, to where both parties mutually benefit. However, like I said, the negative ones or the dark-sided ones will just drain you dry and find another host when they're done. Just like a parasite. And this isn't necessarily due to Scorpio being a bad person. I mean, some are. Most people are. If any sign can be a bad person, but it's not because they're necessarily quote unquote bad people. It's just in their nature. This can also manifest in the desire for ownership or having a certain level of possessiveness when it comes to people, places, and things. And Scorpios can be extremely jealous spirited. Now, Scorpio also deals with the mechanics of sex and even the orgasm, because Scorpio does govern the genitals, making a lot of Scorpios naturally very much in tune with their own sexuality, even their own genitalia, like even if they're not promiscuous. And it could even occur at a very early age, having a child, because my daughter actually is a Scorpio rising, and I've noticed that she's aware of her privacy and her private parts from a very early age. And at first it was alarming to me for obvious reasons. Like, why do you know that? Why are you so concerned with that? Like, did something happen? Like, let me know. Like, what's the tea? Like, Mama Bear was kind of on the defense. Like, what the fuck is going on? But it's very normal for Scorpios or even children who have very prominent Scorpio placement. Now, unfortunately, a byproduct of this is because they exude a sense of, I don't even want to say sexuality, because even as it pertains to children don't exude sexuality, but it's like an energy. It's an energy that a lot of Scorpio children in particular exude that can make them prey for a lot of predators. You know what I'm saying? So be mindful for those of you all who have Scorpio children, children with a lot of 8th house placements, 8th house moons out there, Scorpio ascendants, but even adults. A lot of Scorpio adults or adults with prominent Scorpio energy can naturally exude a sense of sexuality without even trying. It could be just effortless. And that could also put you in situations to where you have people come on to you and you're like, bitch, what the fuck? Like, I'm not asking for that. you know, and it also has a lot to do with why a lot of Scorpios do attract situations like harassment, sexual harassment, molestation, unwanted sexual advances, and things of that nature. Not to say you deserve it or it's your fault, but esoterically, there's a reason for that, okay? Now, also, with Scorpio governing bacteria, right, it's no wonder that many dark-sided Scorpio women have issues with vaginal infections because Scorpio also deals with the genitalia. Many also have, like I said, full consciousness of their genitals from an early age and just are very comfortable with themselves. Dark-sided Scorpios, however, can use their sexuality as a means of power and manipulation. Nonetheless, they can be some very sexual people. Now, the really dark-sided ones can even enjoy like deviant forms of sex. These people can be into some kinky ass shit. I've also noticed that many Scorpios enjoy simulating sex, and this is like the darker sided ones, the ones who have had like traumatic issues or unhealed trauma, unresolved trauma, or just ones who just resonate on the darker side. They really enjoy rape simulations, like fuck me like I'm being raped type of thing. Like they enjoy that pleasure, pain, like you can hurt me, spank me, whatever. It's very Scorpio like sex. There could also be a penchant for scat. Y'all know what scat is, all right? I ain't even gonna tell you to Google it, but basically it's shit. Like people who get off during like shitting on other people and stuff during sex. That's very Scorpio, because Scorpio does deal with waste, and it even deals with anal, the rectum. So these people could even get off on anal sex, both men and women alike. Scorpio also deals with sweat, because you know it is waste. It's a byproduct of the body. So these people could sweat a lot during sex, or maybe they're the type to really like that, you know, dirty, nasty, like I want you to sweat on me type sex. But even outside the bedroom, I noticed that Scorpios like to talk about dirty shit, dirty topics. A person who embodies this energy perfectly is Kaya. Y'all know Kaya, my neck, my back. The Kaya who now is like a YouTuber. Think about how filthy. If you go check out any of her YouTube videos, her roasting gags, her mouth is filthy. She loves talking about sex. She's extremely graphic. Even when she's roasting people and describing stuff, she's always talking about, oh, dick in the booty and this and that. Like, that's very, very Scorpio. That's very dark-sided Scorpio. At its best, though, sex with a Scorpio is meant to be spiritual and very transformative. It's meant to be a binding experience. And it's designed to fuse two people together on a spiritual level, a soul level. Thus, Scorpio does not take sex lightly, typically. And it's a stereotype that Scorpios are just out here like, oh, well, I'm just about to freak everybody type of thing. A lot of Scorpios take the act of intimacy and sex very, very, very seriously. And this could also add to their feelings of possessiveness when dealing with a partner, if Scorpio cannot fathom the thought of experiencing so much with a person, giving so much to a person energetically, spiritually, and then that person walking away, or that person betraying them, or cheating, or straying, right? That shit will drive a Scorpio crazy. Trust me, I'm not telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know. That shit can even drive like acts of passion. What do you call it? Like passion murders, when a person just snaps. Because Scorpio actually does deal with psychosis. Those moments where you just disconnect from reality. That's very Scorpio. Like a person, let's say a person walking in on their loved one or their significant other in the bed with someone else, and then they just snap and kill everybody in the room. That's Scorpio. That's very Scorpio. Scorpio also deals with power, making many Scorpios and people with very prominent Scorpio placements subconsciously hardwired to either fight to obtain some type of power or to maintain power. And for the darkest of dark-sided Scorpios, this can result in engaging in power plays, manipulation tactics, and other nefarious acts in order to make sure you keep that upper hand. Now, in very, very extreme cases, this could even deal with rape, once again, or people being rapists, because rape is not about sex. It's literally all about power. It's an act of dominance over a person. It's one of the most violent things you could do to a person. So if you're looking at somebody who has a lot of dark-sided, demented, twisted Scorpio energy, they won't be above that. Now on a less extreme scale, many Scorpios abhor the idea of vulnerability. They don't want to be seen as powerless, even when it comes to the people that they love and the people that they trust. They despise weakness. And in love, or even just with dealing with people in general, they can create a series of tests in order to have that other person prove their worthiness. These people are not easily the type to just hand out their affection or hand out their tenderness. You have to earn it. And to deceive them or lose their trust could actually be signing your own death warrant, as acts of betrayal are nearly impossible to come back from with Scorpios. They just are. Now, these people also tend to be control freaks, especially the dark-sided ones. And this further drives behaviors of like secrecy to an extreme, and it can give Scorpios a level or an aura of mystery. A lot of Scorpios can come off as very, very mysterious. So if a Scorpio does open up to you, consider yourself lucky. Scorpio also deals with power and influence, and as a result, these people, Scorpios themselves or people with very prominent Scorpio placements can have lots of power and influence on the people around them. They can also have a desire to collaborate with people a lot, working with people a lot, which is also why, depending on how it's placed in the chart, can point towards fame and notoriety. Now, if afflicted, this could deal with infamy, people who are scandalous, people who are famous for not so great things, or people who just evoke very powerful knee-jerk responses from other people, be it negative or positive. But if it's infamy, it's probably negative, because Scorpio can be just as conflict-driven as Aries, as they both share that Mars rulership. However, Scorpio does so in a more calculated and covert kind of way, where Aries is just in your face, like, yeah, what's happening, Now, excessive competitiveness, because, due to that Mars rulership, Scorpio can be very, very competitive. Excessive competitiveness can heighten feelings of jealousy and resentment in Scorpio. And that's where a lot of unevolved Scorpios can pull out their stinger, because they can be very spiteful. And, when they're feeling insecure, they're dangerous. They can be some very unpleasant people to be around if unevolved. Now, finally, Scorpio can also deal with other people's money. It can deal with insurance, taxes, and even inheritances. And afflictions in the birth chart, or afflictions to whatever planet Scorpio is in, can potentially point towards instances of like bankruptcy, repossession, and even large debt or large amounts of debt. So, yeah, I don't want to make this video too long. However, if you have anything more to contribute to Scorpio, if you're a Scorpio, drop down in my comment section. Happy birthday. It's your birthday. Okay? Let me know. Do y'all know a Scorpio? What has your experience been like as a Scorpio? Feel free to talk about all that jazz. So, yeah, this concludes my video. And make sure you practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And as always, until the next video, Allah.